also warned and prohibited to enter into self-destruction. This can happen by not following the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by leaving the deen, by being relaxed on the religion of Islam. This can also happen by overspending, not taking care of the basic needs, and so on and so forth.
وقاتلوا في سبيل الله الذين يقاتلونكم ولا تعتدوا إن الله لا يحب المعتدين وقتلوهم حيث ثقفتموهم وأخرجوهم من حيث أخرجوكم والفتنة أشد من القتل ولا تقاتلوهم عند المسجد الحرام حتى يقاتلوكم فيه فإن قاتلوكم فاقتلوهم كذلك جزاء الكافرين فإن انتهوا فإن الله غفور رحيم.
Fight back. Empowerment through resilience. In these verses, yes, the verses are talking about fighting back and resilience and resistance, and we'll talk a bit about that. But remember, in this series, we are focused on empowerment. We are thinking about the key principles. We are not going into thick details of the do's and the don'ts. So don't think this is going to be your class on do's and don'ts and you just go in and start implementing it. The principles that we are seeing here are very important. First and foremost, in these set of verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is permitting the believers to fight back. Before that, before these set of verses, they were not fighting back. They were in the state of oppression and so on and so forth. They didn't have the ability, they didn't have the capacity, they didn't have the permission. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is allowing to fight back those who are fighting you, who are engaging in physical violence and restraint and murder against you. So only fighting back those people. So even when Allah allows that, there are restrictions in Islam. There are restrictions in Islam. So they're certain that you're not engaging in fighting and violence with non-combatants. You're not fighting in areas where you shouldn't be fighting, whether it's the areas which have religious sanctity or even the areas where you are able to or likely to harm people who are non-combatants, people who are sick, people who are in the hospital, and so on and so forth. The third thing that we see here is Allah is clearly saying that if they resist, if they desist, if they're not fighting you, if they stop, if they enter into an agreement, if they enter into a peace treaty, then do not transgress and stop. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us here that Allah is all forgiving and all merciful. Secondly, Allah also tells us the reason behind this. Why is this allowed? Is because yes, we have a goal in Sharia, and that is the preservation of lives, protection of life, and so on and so forth. But you have a higher priority in Sharia, and that is the protection and preservation of religion. If the existence of an army, certain people that are not allowing you to practice your religion freely, that are not allowing you to exist, then it becomes a higher priority to fight back, because otherwise you will end up harming yourself and harming your religion. We also learn here an encouragement to spend in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether it be on our family, in the cause of establishing the deen, in the cause of protecting the religion, protecting the Muslim, creating peace in the society, protecting other oppressed people, and so on and so forth. But at the same time, we are also warned and prohibited to enter into self-destruction. This can happen by not following the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by leaving the deen, by being relaxed on the religion of Islam. This can also happen by overspending, not taking care of the basic needs, and so on and so forth. This can also happen by engaging in activities that are creating excessive, unnecessary danger to you. Whether it be sports, whether it be combats, whether it be other things that you do, whether it be consuming substances that will harm you and have long-term harmful effects on you. Lastly, here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us and gives us a promise that Allah is with the ones who are muttaqeen, those who do not transgress the limits of Allah, those who are conscious of Allah. If you are one of those, as you increase in that, in your protection of the law of Allah, you have more support and alliance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Lastly, there's a command of excelling, of not being complacent, of excelling in your affairs of your worship of Allah, affairs of your activities in the community, affairs of your non-profit projects, affairs of your academic and technological excellence, and so on and so forth. So excel, don't be complacent, be the top 1%.